So this week I was thinking about a certain Matilda, which just so happens to be someone that I consider to be the one that got away from me. I mentioned last week that, a so-called Rachel was my template, like the first girl that I kind of learned the ropes with, for lack of a better term. And she resembles her in a lot of ways, Matilda does. And I consider her the one that got away because though I was interested in her initially, she was not. But then throughout the years, there did came a time where I quote unquote got a shot. And in that shot, we went out a couple times. We had a good time every time we went out. And then one time I wanted to move to the next level, and it did not go anywhere from there. The reason I think that is because I was too soon with it.
Interesting.
My timing was off. If I had just waited a little bit, if I had been a little bit more patient, I feel like I wouldn't be single right now, to be honest with you. And with that said, it kind of made me rethink my entire strategy and my entire approach and playbook per se of how I do things from now on. Because again, she was the one that got away, the girl next door. And want to make sure that I don't repeat the same mistakes that way again.
So you're thinking right person, wrong time?
I do think that, yeah. Is there somebody in your life who you feel got away?
Michael?
I was thinking about that. Initially, I was like, no. And, I'm just going to say, I don't think so, really. Because usually most of the girls that I've been attracted to and like tried to pursue, they were kind of we weren't yoked. Some, some were very unyoked with me. And then some, to lesser extents. But yeah, and then when I look back on it, it's just like, it wasn't in the cards. Not to say that, them not working out didn't hurt or did suck, but it's just like, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm not like looking at that person that's like, man, they were so great. Now there are some girls that I have liked and that we were kind of yoked and it didn't work out. But, then I meet another girl. And so I'm kind of just like, that's okay. There are some girls right now that I think of, I haven't really tried anything.
I mean, plural. Girls,
yes. I haven't really like specifically made any moves.
No.
That, I would be like, wow, there would be a good match.
And is that on purpose that you haven't made any moves, or?
Michael, is it on purpose?
Kind of, maybe. I'm not sure. It's just, I would say, yeah, probably on purpose. I just haven't done anything. Some of it is just, based on where I am right now. I just so busy with things. But you never know, a few months that could change. But yeah, I don't think I actually have one. But like there are girls that I do know of that, I believe would be a good match for me. So
good.
And if they got away, then I would be like, okay, maybe they were the one that got away. But
would they be getting away if you didn't even try?
Well, I'm assuming if I say they got away, then no. I guess not. Yeah, if they all of a sudden just, get a boyfriend out of nowhere.
It's not out of nowhere because you never shot your shot.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know they got a boyfriend. I'm just saying I just check on their Instagram and then boom, they're like engaged. Or they got a kid. I'm like, oh.
How did that happen?
Then I'd be like, man, maybe I should have done something. Then I guess I could say that, but I don't know. Right as of now, I don't think so.
What about you, Doc?
I think like Mike, I don't have like someone in my life that got away per se, like a guy. But I feel like the person that I've gotten away from is myself. I just look back at when I was younger. I was more forward with the guys.
That's true, actually.
Kind of just putting myself out there and my intention. And I feel like with time, just like self-doubt and, just society, like putting that shame on women. I'm like, if you put yourself out there, you're like, you're not going to be respected. And I feel like I've allowed that to make me more jaded. Jaded is not the word, but like conforming to that rule where it's like making me think that I have to be chosen, that I can't choose. And I feel like barely now that I'm in my like late 20s, I feel like I'm trying to go back to that. Just, being who I was just always very forward about it.
It's an interesting. Hello and welcome back. My name is Josue Peralta, along with my sister Abby and my buddy Mike. Today I want to talk a little bit about not necessarily the one that got away, but I want to talk about game plans. And, we've been having, I guess, kind of semi-recently, some of our friends who seem to like each other, but don't know what to do after that. So I guess the lack of a game plan, I feel, is stifling a lot of, I guess, modern dating, specifically in Adventism, because of the fact that we sometimes see as, oh, dating somebody means I have to marry them or I have to go down that path immediately.
Yeah.
It kind of stifles growth and, or makes, I guess, guys and maybe even women also very hesitant into moving forward. Have you guys seen that problem, or is it just kind of me?
No, I've seen it. And this week, I was just talking to someone about it, and it just pisses me off. Just thinking about it, because it's like we say we want something, but then we don't do anything about it. So just lack of purpose from ourselves also, I think, is one of the reasons why we see it in the church.
That's true. And then off camera, you just told me a little story about what mom told you, right?
Yeah. So my mom, she works at our old elementary school, Bethesda, as a teacher's assistant. And she was telling me...
Full circle.
Yeah. She was telling me about this little kid that we always talk about. She calls him Sumo. He's a chubby, cute little kid. Anyway, I guess today he got the cutest girl in the class. And
our boy can pull.
the little girl even laid her head on his shoulder, and my mom was telling me how he just looked ecstatic. He was super happy. He was smiling, but at the same time he had this deer in the headlights look.
Oh no,
what do I do? I'm really happy.
I think a lot of guys are still like that.
That's what I was telling her. I'm like, I guess guys never change. They just grow up into bigger little kids that don't know what to do once they get the pretty girl.
It reminds me of in the movie The Dark Knight, the Joker. He says, he's like a dog who chases a car. If he ever catches it, he wouldn't know what to do with it. Yeah. And I feel like there are a lot of guys in that situation who think a lot about, getting a girl or getting a certain girl, but when they do get her, they have no idea what to do then. And conversely, I feel like there is not a lack of game plan or knowing what to do when it comes to the proverbial players.
Yeah.
Right? Where if they like you, they will know what to do with you next, as coarse as that sounds. Whether it's, making out, going out to the ball game, they show you attention, whether it's, doing some illicit things, et cetera, et cetera. They know what they want and they kind of go for it.
I feel like it's a lot easier when you have that type of mentality, because, that those are what's expected, So it's just okay, yeah, if I'm going at this girl, the next step is, those things.
Right.
Where, if you're dating intentionally and you're in the biblical mindset, then it makes stuff, I think, more harder, because it's now you got to do things.
But shouldn't it be easier?
No, well, I mean, I don't think so. I think it can make it more confusing, because you have to figure out other things to do, I guess, and you don't want to be boring. I don't know.
You wouldn't be boring though.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's my view when it comes to looking at girls who are not in the church, maybe.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
But I just feel if you I've heard guys say, when they go out and they get a girl and they go to a party, they go home afterwards. It's just
yeah, but girls don't just want to party and go home.
Well,
a lot of them actually
this
just
is
want
in
to
the
have a
world I'm talking
conversation.
about. In the world, there's a lot of girls meet guys at parties, and
That's
they
true.
go out and then they just go to sleep with each other a lot of times. That's what I've been told from people.
A lot of the times,
I mean,
for sure.
So it's just and you don't really need to work hard at that, especially if there's drinking involved. It's just easy. Whereas I feel
No.
yeah,
I mean,
I hear it all the time. Dudes say it's super easy to pick up girls that way.
But I mean, at the same time, you have, some nerds and some simps out there who can go to the same bars, can
And
drink the same
they ain't getting
alcohol,
no
and
attention.
they ain't getting nothing either.
Yeah, but
So it's
a
not-
lot of them do, though. That's what I'm saying. I mean, whereas if
Somebody has to have something different that the simps these days aren't
I,
having.
I was told it is very easy.
I mean, you have to put in some type of effort.
Yeah.
Even just saying hi. Hi is an effort.
Yeah,
Right.
a lot of guys do that.
Yeah.
It's just whether the girl wants to or not. But, if you're in that setting and, hormones are running wild.
And I mean, I think there were consequences to not having a plan, obviously,
Yeah.
where I think both people suffer, right? You have what I guess people call incels or involuntary celibates, who I guess they say they want to sleep with someone, to be together with a girl, but at the same time, they don't either take the actions to actually get there. And then a good number of them start blaming the women as the problem to a lot of their woes, where I agree that we both have blame to share in the dating space, but not necessarily in that specific aspect. I did some research, and this is a Pew poll that came out in 2022, so fairly recent. It was talking about how a third of men haven't had sex in the last year. And that's way higher than it was before. And not to mention that of like people choosing to stay single, it is 63% of men choosing to stay single, which is up from 51, which is insane.
That's crazy.
And women, it's at 34% choosing to stay single. And then, I mean, it's just like I guess only half the men want to pursue, and then the other half, I guess, do not.
Which is crazy, because if there's already less men and half already don't want anything, that just dwindles even more.
The numbers even more, which I guess goes to my next part of this of the study, which says that women are dating older men still. So women usually date older anyway, but because there's a lack of, let's say, new crop coming in,
you gotta go.
you gotta go even older sometimes.
Hey, no wonder there's
which is
sugar
interesting.
daddies.
Yeah.
Sugar daddies are on the rise.
I wonder what percentage of those men who don't want to date were in a previous relationship before.
Now that would
they're
be
like
interesting.
not
Yeah.
wanting to do it anymore.
And then in
suffering.
terms of like close friendships, which is also ties to your dating pool or what have you, how they define it is like if you have at least 6 close friendships, right? It is now at 27% of men that they feel like they have at least 6 close friends, which is 1 in 4 per se.
That makes sense.
And it's down from 55% 30 years ago. So back when, I guess, where we were born, roughly. So 1 in every 2 had a good, group. And now half of those have like close friendships, which is terrible.
Yeah.
Does
it say for women?
It does not say for women.
It wouldn't. I mean, it probably has gone down, but I don't think as much.
No. Yeah. Now, Doc, you were saying earlier that, you feel like your strategy changed where you used to be more forward. What about, taking what about the question of ladies pursuing or taking charge and leading relationships? How do you feel like that's played a role into the issue that we're having now?
Into the issue that we're having right now of no game plan?
No game plan, yeah. Because, I mean, I will say this. I feel like most women want to be led by a strong man, obviously. But the small number of women who do want to take the lead, I feel like they're doing just fine. I don't know.
Well, I mean, yeah. I think women that do take the lead completely are doing just fine because the guy's just going along for the ride and he doesn't have to do anything. Whereas if you are, as your standard to have a man, put his share in the game, you're going to be struggling a little bit because a lot of guys just don't know what they want in life and in women. So I think now more than ever, they're becoming more forward. At the same time, it's like guys are just like, I don't know, So it's hard. It's hard.
Very hard.
I don't know how to explain it, but.
Yeah. And then that same research, that same Pew research, it says that the women, they don't want to date down. And that's obvious from every other thing in life.
Nobody wants to date down.
Correction. Only women don't want to date down. Men usually date across and down. Women date across and up.
Okay, when you say down, what do you mean?
In terms of social class, money, education.
Okay, but down means different. It's something different for men and women.
Okay, so how would you
Because
define dating down as a woman?
Because dating down as a woman,
Yes.
I would say it as a guy who
Isn't as educated as you.
isn't no, not even as educated, but doesn't really have anything going on in his life. He just a guy that just plays video games all day and like
A lot of guys who play video games, they got money.
his ass, you know, like just like guys that when you talk to them, that's like, yeah, whatever. Like it just like their life just looks so empty. And
like life happens to them. In other words, they don't happen to life, I guess.
yeah, so then there's already less guys. So I think women already make compromises in that area. So I think women date down all the time.
I don't think it's all the time.
Yeah.
I think like
especially when it comes to character and purpose, we make so much compromises.
Yeah, but
I think,
but you're resenting it.
I'm not resenting it. It's just the truth. It's just a reality. And I think men dating up for you guys, up, I hate that term, is more of like looks, right? Because you guys
again,
don't value money.
Education, money.
You guys don't value any of that in women. All you're looking just for is the physical.
Not just, but a lot of it.
a lot of
it.
them are,
Yeah, you're just looking for the physical. And if she has a great personality on top of it, that's bonus.
Yes.
But the majority is the physical. So I wouldn't say guys are usually dating down when it comes to physicalness, especially if they're being intentional. Because I think it's easier for an ugly guy to get a pretty girl than for an ugly girl to get a hot guy.
I think it's the opposite.
You think so? You think a less attractive woman can get a very good looking guy?
Yeah, if she's his piece and she brings him comfort and she brings him
but
like a secure space to come home to.
I don't know any.
I don't know. I just feel like then that would be a guy that's like a lot older than her, because guys getting to the point of peace and comfort is usually when they're older. They're not looking for peace and comfort when they're young. They're just looking for a dime piece.
Yes. What were you going to say, Mike?
I was going to say, I know a few guys who are like, average looking, mid at best, who date very pretty, attractive girls.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
They got a game like sumo.
No,
over
the
here.
girl is just usually really nice. The guy doesn't even really have like game like that. It's a girl that's just like nice personality.
Or maybe they're just good listeners, good conversationalists.
All goes with it. Nice personality.
All of the above. Yeah. So then let's assume that the three of us, we meet someone.
Yeah.
We decide to be honest about our intentions. And we take him out to just get to know him on a first date, and that, just first
Good
outing.
first date.
Yeah. And then that leads into a second date and even like a third date.
Okay.
Question is, now what? Right? So where would you say you learned your quote unquote playbook? Or like, where did you get your idea or your plays from your playbook, for lack of a better term? Because for me, I learned it partly from media, from like movies and TV shows and books and things like that. And then I'm actually from Illinois too, but I also learned it from our older brother, Chris. He was way more daring with women than I was. Yeah. And I got some plays from his playbook, I guess, that I put into mine. And he got
rejected, but he stuck it out and he got the girl.
Yeah, he's a champ. But where would you guys say you got the source to make your so-called playbook?
Mike?
You calling me out? It's a collection of places. I mean, like, my dad and my mom, and just friends, like hearing testimonies, like, even Pastor Taylor's, like,
oh, that's true, yeah,
with him, singing guitar to Kim as she walks by or something like that. I mean, I'm not shooting that, but I mean, well, you never know.
That's like from a total movie.
It worked.
Yeah.
Taylor's great. It worked.
It's true.
So for me, it's just a collection of people and experiences. I'd say my parents have a big influence on that, and my friends, not maybe as big as my parents, but also my friends as well.
Yeah.
So,
that's fair.
Yeah. I think for me, my playbook, I've gotten it also from like stories from other people.
Yeah.
But I also am huge into dating coaches and their advice. And I mean, I've mentioned Matthew Hussey a lot.
That's true.
I followed him before he was cool.
Oh, he's cool now?
I mean, he has a second book coming out.
Wow.
It's called Love Life, and his advice is really sound, and it's been 10 plus years, and he's like confirmed lots of the things that I've thought of, and he's very practical. So.
I guess that's like I've gotten some plays from things that Abby's told him about him that he said. So
Yeah.
he's I would vouch that he's a good source for guys too, I guess.
Yeah, I think he is.
So then, like, for example, Myrna, imagine, like I said, second, third date with this guy. What happens then? Like, what does the playbook look like from the female perspective, from the woman's perspective? So, for example, like, what steps are you taking then?
After like the third date, and they all went really well.
Yes.
I think I would continue. I think there's nothing new that I would add. If anything, I would be more intentional because in the sense of, right, like you meet someone, they wouldn't get all my time right away. Right. So, so it's like by the third date, I would probably be more intentional, probably give you more of my time, more flexible.
Yeah.
Continue to show him that I like him.
Yeah.
And
in what ways?
In what ways?
Yeah, walk me through this. Again, don't reveal your whole playbook, but give me a play or two.
What ways I would show a guy that I like him? The specific language that I would use to compliment him.
Okay.
And also through physical touch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Physical touch in one way.
Get your head out of the gutter.
No, it's not in the gutter. I'm just like
in nice ways, like like
arm brushing,
and like
grabbing
I would
his
probably loop my arm around his or something, which is something that's completely normal for me because I can't walk straight regardless. But that's not the point.
Right.
The point is, I would show more of that, and
well, that's fair.
It's
Mike.
Purely PG.
Okay, Mike. So
I wasn't insinuating that it wasn't going to be anything else.
Mike, walk me through a little bit of your playbook. So, like, second, third date. Let's call your girl Stephanie. What are you doing next?
All right.
What
Well,
are the next steps?
let's see. I've been thinking about this long and hard. So, second,
I love that.
Pause.
second, and what?
Speaking of gutter.
Okay. No, but in all seriousness, I think, after second, third day, we're getting to know each other, we're starting to establish, like some type of friendship. And follow me on this. I think I would, after that, though, cause an argument.
What?
Where
Hear him out.
Hear me out.
Let him cook.
I would cause an argument where it's clear that I'm in the wrong. It's clear that I'm at fault here, but I would gaslight her until she thinks that she's the problem, and then I would emotionally abuse her to where she only gets satisfaction from me telling her that she looks good or something like that, and then I would start to treat her slightly better. Not too much, but just a little bit, and then it's kind of like an on and off thing.
Okay, we need to stop letting him cook.
To where she, gets addicted to me, like a drug or nicotine, something like that.
Trauma
and
bond,
then, if that doesn't work, probably like a Bible study or, or missionary work or something like that. Yeah.
And scene.
You watch that guy way too much.
That was perfectly executed.
Yeah, that was really good.
We didn't see that coming. We didn't see that coming.
You think I'm kidding?
Yeah, we got it.
All right, sure. Okay, but if that doesn't work, then I don't know. Just after the third day, I feel like I would tell them like, "Hey, I think there's something here," or I wouldn't even say it like that. I'm not even sure how I'm going to say it, but I would like let them know that I would like to keep doing this. I like to see you more often. I think we connect great, and I'm
You're him.
Yeah, I would just like try to progress it to the point where it's like they know that I like them. I would like say that though. Like
explicitly.
I would say, hey, like, I like you. Like, I think this is great, especially if we're going on dates and, we're, at that time in our life, we're both older in our upper 20s. So it's just like, there's no like real reason. Why am I going on a date? Obviously I like you, or, I'm at least interested. So then after the third day, I'll be like, hey, I'm thinking I'm starting to like you.
Well, here's the thing. Like,
and I think we have good chemistry. Let's see where this goes. Let's see where this goes, kind of thing. Is that the right answer? I don't know. That's never gotten that far before.
I don't think there's.
And this is your game plan.
There's no right answer.
Yeah, there is no technical right answer.
It depends on the girl.
Yeah,
that's also true. It depends on the guy.
So again, a couple weeks ago in the casual dating episode, we talked about how we shouldn't introduce romance into the first 2 or 3 dates until we were actually sure, because it is at that point that you can either walk away or actually move forward. We said that, it would take at least me, for example, 2 to 3 days to do that. So with that being said, I think what I would do is I would have a fun sit down conversation, and that's where we talk about our future and feelings, where I say, hey, listen, I've had a good time hanging out with you. I really enjoy your company. I'd like to pursue this further. How do you feel about it? And it has to be in like a somewhere like fun, like either an arcade or something like that, so that she can associate me with those good feelings.
Okay, see, psychological warfare here.
Taking a play from Mike's playbook here from the manipulation. No, but
y'all are something else.
I feel like we do need to have a serious sit down, but still keep it light.
Yeah. You just tell them like, hey.
I mean, it's not just about me, right? Like, I need to see where she's at.
Yeah.
And like,
you ask them,
like what stage of life is at, and or she's at, and things like that. Now, after that, I wouldn't like bring her into my life like right away. I think I'd trickle her into like the things that I do and the life that I lead in certain places. Like, I travel a lot. I wouldn't just bring her on immediately.
Of course not.
It's like just and I don't
think
a
she would
slow
want to.
stream, like a steady stream, because I need to make sure that I don't, first of all, love bomb, number one.
Exactly, that's what I was thinking about.
And then number two, make sure that I'm not just doing certain things for her, but that I can just. I lost my train of thought. But the point is, to just be steady with bringing her into my life and things like that. After which, then we would, in my eyes, start to do things that I like and then things that she likes, so that I'm acquainted with, for example, let's say she likes crocheting a lot for whatever reason. I'm not into crocheting, but if she's into it, I want to see what that's like. Like, put myself in her world a little bit.
Watch a 1 hour YouTube video on the history of crochet.
On the history of crocheting. That's probably what I would do.
Yeah, I know, on 3 times speed.
Whereas she would actually just do it and then just want to talk and do nothing, do nothing, quote unquote, but that's not actually right.
So I don't remember what I said on that episode about, how like at first you wouldn't introduce anything romantic.
Right.
But just hearing you talk, I think personally, for me, I think I wouldn't.
Or at least not super explicit, where you can walk away.
I think I would want. For me, I think it's easier if we start off like romantic and go to friends. Like, in the sense that like, I like you, let's go on a date. If we don't like each other, okay, let's be friends. But like,
that's kind of what I mean, I guess.
Oh, okay. But like, it's not like, I feel if you tell me let's go out as friends. And then by the third one, it's like, you want to be romantic. It's like, I don't know.
No.
I'm not at that stage in my life anymore.
That's weird, yeah.
It's more, you like me? Okay, cool. Let's see if we match. First date? No? Okay, let's be friends. Yeah. I feel like that's a better transition.
That's a better way to put it. Thank you, Morans. That's a good way to do it. At what point would you guys think you would introduce him to your family?
I probably already told my mom. Probably already knows everything.
Probably. I think whenever it's natural, like I don't have a hard date as to like after 6 weeks or after 10 weeks.
Sure.
Especially being the type of family that we are.
Right.
It's just whatever's natural. Like if we're vibing and it's the 5th date and
it's my birthday or something.
Yeah, like come over.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me it's like different. Well, I feel like in Adventism, like one of the like dates is church. So like,
oh, that's interesting.
so like everybody
know
already
if I would
knows. Like,
wanna-
I don't know how I
everybody.
feel about that.
I don't know how I feel about that either.
I was just like, hey, like, let's go to church together.
I guess it would be if you go to someone's church that you don't go
That's
to.
that's exactly what I was saying. There is one exception. It's if you both go to a church neither of you go to.
Oh, okay, I guess so.
Yeah.
I guess you
Because
could do that.
otherwise other people start butting in,
Yeah.
start asking a lot of
Yeah.
questions you
Yeah.
haven't even thought of,
Yeah.
and start accelerating things in
Yeah.
their own minds and then putting
Yeah.
you in that space.
I mean, like, they only see them one Sabbath, though. It's not like it's a continuous
Yeah.
thing. It's just like, you come, you guys are just friends. If you introduce her to anybody, like, hey, Ma, this is my friend so-and-so. Like, and then, yeah. I mean, like, in the back of my head, or in the back of
not
my
really a
mom's head,
friend,
my
but-
mom's is like, oh, okay, Michael knows another girl. So,
Hallelujah. The Lord answers prayers.
that's right. Her prayer closet worked,
Now that I think about it, though, probably we've had the talk or whatever that we want to pursue this exclusively. I think after that, I would formally introduce him to you guys, because I feel like you and Chris would act like super hard, but like nobody cares.
what do you mean? Act super hard.
like,
Like,
We
you-
have
like,
to
have
put
you
him
seen
through
those
his
movies?
paces.
Like
It's
where
not-
I don't remember the movie, but like a guy was picking up a girl to go on a date, and like the dad purposely dressed up as a biker dude, and he invited all his biker friends, and they were wife beaters, and they waited, and then when the guy got there, they opened the garage, and they all had bats, and they wanted to have this whole huge conversation. Like, they were acting all tough. That's what
Yeah.
I mean. So I at least formally, after at least we've decided to pursue it like exclusively, but if it happens and we're out, it happens.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not going to hide it.
The other movie it reminds me of is Cheaper by the Dozen, where Ashton Kutcher, Nora, brings him by.
Oh, yeah.
And then they have this entire elaborate plan, the kids do,
Yeah.
to like humiliate him and like put him through his paces.
They
and
put his
things like
underwear in meat, and then
that. Yes.
the dog.
Got into the car. Well, you've never seen Cheaper by the Dozen?
I have.
Okay.
But it's been a while. I don't remember, like,
We've
everything.
seen it way too much. That's why.
Yeah, that's true. Well, it's a fantastic film.
Yeah,
That's
it is.
exactly. No, that's true though. What about timelines? Like, do you guys have any like timelines in your head of like what would happen next? So like for me, I think it's a little bit trivial in the sense that I like Abby mentioned earlier, don't have a set rule on after 6, 8, 10 weeks, 3 weeks or what have you. But I mean, I still wouldn't want to introduce her to the family right away. I wouldn't want to introduce her to the church family right away either. Specifically me, because I feel like as soon as somebody sees me with a girl that's not my sister, their mind immediately runs to, oh, they're dating, or oh, they're
What am I supposed to
whatever. Don't think anything. Ask. I mean, it's normal.
I
It's normal.
usually
It's fine.
I ask.
No. I mean, I'm not saying you. I'm talking about like people at church
Oh, yeah.
where like they gossip more than actually coming to you and talking and something like that.
Yeah.
Whereas that may put her in an uncomfortable spot unnecessarily. But I mean,
That's true.
I mean, if she's my girl, I guess she has to kind of be used to that. I guess I don't know, but I guess it wouldn't be super immediate. But there's definitely some things that like some timelines that I think that I hold a little fast,
Okay.
or like strong. Which is, for example, I would want to go through a Christmas with her because
So
Christmas
one
is my
full year?
favorite season. Not necessarily. Like if we meet in July, Christmas is only 4 or 5 months away.
Okay.
So,
But if you meet in January,
then I gotta wait a whole year to make that happen. And again, it's not a rule, but it's just a guideline.
What do you do for
Something I'd like
for Valentine's Day if you just meet in January?
you go out for dinner.
You go out for dinner, yeah.
But you're not like dating, so is it not like?
It doesn't matter. We're going to dinner.
Oh, okay.
Wait, why don't if you met in January?
I know. Well, you said you don't want to like introduce her to the parents and the family right away, but then you
right.
still take her out for Valentine's. So I'm just like,
It's just us.
or
Yeah,
just-
you don't go
or
out
you
with your
just-
whole family on Valentine's Day.
No, I'm just saying like no, that was he's saying like he's saying that he wouldn't introduce this girl to the family right away.
Right.
So, I'd feel like, if I'm taking a girl out on Valentine's Day, I'd
Mm-hmm.
probably introduce them to my family.
Okay. All right.
Oh,
Well,
I mean that's fair.
Well,
there's no wrong
Valentine's
answer.
Day is like specifically couples. You know, it's for couples, not just people who are kind of.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's for whoever we want it to be. It could be
Getting to know
like a
each
sneaky
other.
link. It doesn't matter who
I
it is.
know, but like that's to me is like a big, you know, I feel like
Milestone.
Yeah, if you're going out on Valentine's Day,
That's true.
or you're just like awkwardly silent, don't say anything, no communication on Valentine's Day. Then
That would
That would be
let's
weird.
go out the next. Let's go out the
makes it
next
even
day.
more weird.
That would be off-putting.
Well, I
Yeah.
just wanted to know what your thoughts were.
And then another thing I would say is that I wouldn't date longer than a year in terms of timelines.
Oh,
I don't
Okay.
think I'd date longer than a
could not.
year. I mean,
How about you? You don't want
Well, I
less?
want to go the
2 years?
faster is better.
Okay.
Not like too fast.
6
obviously.
months.
Yeah, you know.
I mean, Pastor Zach, 6 months.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I could see myself accelerating things necessarily, but go ahead, Mike.
yeah. No, it's just like we get to know each other. It doesn't take long to figure out chemistry and stuff. You know, and then if you ask the right questions, you know, when you're getting to know them, like like how are you involved in your church? You know, I don't know, just stuff like that. You're like passionate about.
Yeah.
Then you get all that information, and then after a few days, then you tell her, and then if she likes it, and then you guys just keep going further, and then I don't know when do you get to that point of officially asking her to be your official
Girlfriend?
person? Yeah,
What would you say to that, Doc?
I don't know.
Waiting a year to
No,
ask?
No.
How long, or after how many dates? Because sorry, go ahead.
How long would I
Yeah, like
wait
before.
for
Would you
girlfriend
feel
status?
like it would be normal to be like, okay, now we're in girlfriend status? Yeah.
in
No, just
or like my timeline?
again. This
I
is
guess-
after you've had the preliminary 3 dates.
Okay. So I mean, if everything's going well, I'm cool with it after a month. It all depends how it is, like the conversation, the intention, all of that stuff. I don't. It's not like a hard set
Okay.
month. But
Let's call it 4 dates, like 1 date a week type thing. Is that what you're insinuating, or
4 or 5 dates. Yeah, but like it's not just the dates, right? It's the conversation in between.
yeah?
Too. That's important. Don't roll your eyes. Conversation is important.
I'm not rolling my eyes.
So yeah, depending on the intentional conversation.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I think for me, it would be if we have this conversation and the what are we conversation.
Well, I still didn't give my whole timeline. So I would.
Oh no, please continue.
So I would hope to be married, or at least planning to be married. Yeah, kind of like by the next year. Like if we meet
January.
1.
January 1,
Yeah.
we need to be
Married by
the
January
marriage
1.
date needs to be set for next year.
But like
the
December, so for example, if you let's say,
I don't want no long engagement
So
period.
you reserve.
that's fair. I like that.
People be
I'm a fan of that.
engaged for like 2 years.
for
See,
no
but like the
reason.
engagement period it's very hard because
I mean, yeah, a
there's
lot of it's just planning and stuff. Yeah.
You got to find a place to
planning,
live.
Yeah.
the place to live, money,
Money's the
and
biggest issue.
the vision of the wedding, like
true.
that all goes into it because you can have a very quick engagement if you have the money, if they have the time, you have the place to live. If
Soon
all
as I
the
get a
stars align,
girlfriend-
you can get married.
As soon as I
in a month.
get a girlfriend, I'm taking a loan out.
or
A lot of
maybe
people do that.
Not even gonna tell her.
or maybe if you meet her January 1st, you take it out then.
Just take out the
January
loan right
2nd.
away.
Yeah, right away. So it's been so you have money in a
As soon as
year
I
from
drop her
now. It's
off.
like you're manifesting that. You're in prayer and faith in 1 year. You even
I'm gonna-
reserve the chapel, man.
That's crazy. Although not unheard of.
Soon as I
think-
get her to follow me back,
On
On
Instagram.
taking the
Instagram,
loan out.
start saving $100 a week.
And then he comes home and he's like, oh, wait, I met someone. She followed me back on Instagram.
I open a high yield
It's a sign.
savings.
It's a sign. Yeah.
I think I don't want to date for a long time either. Especially, I feel like now that we're older, I think.
That's true.
Um,
So then does that mean like no extravagant wedding for you? None of that?
So I've never wanted an extravagant wedding.
Okay.
If I've had it, I just want simple. I want a very small wedding. I'm not a huge wedding type of person. It's more of what we do instead of who's there.
Like, could you say this is an advantage to getting married and like dating and an engagement, like
Like a
faster,
quick- oh.
quicker? Because if something, and problems happen in relationships all the time, like if you guys get in a big argument or you find out something about that person that isn't like a deal breaker, but just kind of like annoying, or maybe you initially think is a deal breaker. Like if you're dating, it's easier to just get out of it.
I guess I'm not seeing where.
But I'm saying
marrying
it's an
early
advantage. Is an
an
advantage if you're married when all that stuff happens, like when those problems
you
happen.
just have to
because
figure it
you
out.
feel like you're more obligated to figure it out instead of just
breaking up.
Now, obviously, if they're like not a bad person,
sure,
then it's okay. But like I feel like a lot of times when stuff go wrong, there's that initial overreaction to things where we don't like kind of think it through. Give it some time.
That's why, like, I feel
and then come back. Like if you're dating,
you have to
I feel
still
like
give it some time.
Yeah.
To make sure you go through different phases in life, different phases of the year. Because a year is never like linear.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you start low and then you go high and then you stay high and then you go really low for Christmas or something like that.
But see, if you're married with like a Christian and you guys are both in a relationship and God's at the center, then you can use God as kind of like that.
I mean, I'll tell you what.
That guide to fix an issue.
One reason I say it is because had I pulled the trigger with my ex, I know for a fact, had we married sooner, I would not have been happy.
I think it's tricky. I don't think there's a right or wrong.
Double-edged sword,
maybe you would have grown into happiness.
You're right. That's also true.
Right, because you work at it.
That's true. My life would be so different.
Well, of course.
Like way different.
Yeah, you probably have a kid.
That would be an interesting baby.
I thought he'd be a really tall baby. Super tall.
He'd have a big head.
I mean, a lot of brain to fit into that.
Great style, thanks to his mother.
That's right. Fantastic. That is one thing I've seen rare American women be able to match. It is out of this world. I still kind of miss that. Anyway, I thought where you were going with that is it advantageous to marry earlier in life? It's like 21, 22.
Oh, no, I meant like shortening
versus like dating
the dating
or marrying down.
Yeah.
No, I know what you're saying, but I mean, marrying earlier is a double-edged sword because you're not well developed yet.
You're just less mature. You get married for the wrong reasons.
But like we've seen examples. I mean, our brother, he got married like rather quick, or young, at 23.
Young,
that's
but they
super
did
young.
it for a minute. They did it for 4 years.
That's true. So I mean, I guess they had 4 years under their belt.
But they did start young, like 4 years.
They've been married 8 years.
8 years. I was gonna say it depends, right? Because Paul says that if you're gonna fall into temptation, you might as well just get married.
Mm-hmm. So Michael and I had that conversation the other day.
And then Ellen G. White gives the advice that you shouldn't date for more than 2 years or long.
There shouldn't be a long engagement period.
There shouldn't be those long periods.
Yeah.
So it's kind of
because she actually says save some of those let's call it like romantic moments for the marriage time.
Of course.
She specifically says that. That's interesting.
That's my main reason.
Yeah.
I won't be holding out.
So I think a year is
he holds the gaze like y'all feel me?
Shoot, man. If I love someone,
I think a year is a good middle.
Yeah. So then, at what point would you guys start considering them in your future plans? Because, you have a life that you want to lead, and they have a life that they want to lead. You're not sure that you want to marry them yet at this point. Like you want to enter a relationship for sure, but you're not sure you want to marry them. So at what point would you guys say, okay, I'm going to forego my trip to the Hamptons, to Montauk, to spend her birthday, locally? I guess in my
I already started thinking about that stuff even before.
I mean, I do too.
Even as a single person, I'm like, I mean, you just know things are going to change, but specifically with that person, and how their life is set up and how my life is set up, and their interests and my interests, I already start thinking about that stuff, how much it's going to take away from what I like to do potentially, and how much different everything would be. Yeah, because then if I can see it could potentially be a lot of changing. Or I'd have to give up a lot of stuff that I might hold back. Yeah.
Interesting.
But I mean, you never know really until you actually get into a relationship. But I kind of already start thinking about that.
I mean, for me, it's more of a, not really a time thing. It's more of a landmark thing. So if we've crossed certain landmarks, certain benchmarks, then I feel like I can start planning my future, I guess, around you little by little. So, I mean, I feel like I know for sure by month 4 through 6 or something like that.
I think for me, it would
Or
be
sooner, but 4 months is a nice number.
I think for me, I would start becoming more flexible.
Yeah.
By the time we were official.
Yeah.
That being said, it's not like I would cancel plans, because of this person. I would just probably move some timelines around, but I wouldn't change my entire life for this person.
Not to say entire life, but like for example, a trip to Montauk. Like, would you change that around?
No. If I already had, let's say I met him in January, and I already have it for December. No.
Yeah.
Would I be flexible on the dates? Maybe, if I haven't bought plane tickets or something like that, but no.
Interesting. And I guess speaking of, are there any stages or benchmarks that you guys want to make sure to cross during your like dating phase, I guess, as part of your playbook, right? So how do you know you want to move forward?
And this does not include conversations that you've had, but rather events, like physical events.
Yeah, like in my list, I put going to church together.
Okay, yeah, that's one. But church
I also
together.
put spending a boring Sunday together. What does that feel like with her there? Because Sundays you don't always want to do something. Sometimes you're just tired, or if there's no football on and I'm not working on a project or something, can we spend just a boring Sunday together and me actually like enjoy you and your company?
Let me start over. I think for me, it would be more things of having an argument, how we deal
That
with
works
that
too, yeah.
argument, how we work through it. That's a benchmark, and that also determines things moving forward. Also, how the person reacts and how we work together through times of, like, let's say, grief or adversity.
Yes.
Things like that. I think it's more of those type of situations that
That's
I would
real.
see as landmarks, like going to church and all that stuff I see it as normal. I don't see it as like a landmark.
Okay. For example, I think for me, like for example, like a road trip for me, I feel like that's essential. I need to be able to sit with you in the car for a long time, especially because I like to do it so much.
But when would you go on a road trip with her? 6 months?
No, hey, no.
Would it ever get so bad to the point where you end the road trip early and turn around?
I've done it before.
Yeah.
I know. That's why I asked.
Is that a deal breaker if you can't do a road trip with her?
Probably.
It depends on the reason. If she's just insufferable in terms of like she won't compromise.
It depends if she's hot enough.
No. Hotness is not really the issue there. Because I have to live with you anyway. I mean, I'm not going to be sleeping with you all the time and looking. I mean, you're not just like a pretty thing for me to look at. I have to actually engage with you. So, I mean, I don't know, like a road trip in maybe, I don't know, third month, something like that. Second month,
so
something
earlier
like that.
than I thought.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it wouldn't be a long one. Like, you test the waters.
yeah, like a weekend maybe, 1 or 2 days.
Like Bayfield, Wisconsin. That's a nice short.
Yeah.
I mean, it's short for me, right? It's a 6-hour swing there, which is not short, but it's long enough to where it gets uncomfortable, but not long enough to where like Montana type thing. So
I feel like I would want to do a trip too. You learn a lot about people on trips, and if it's like camping or something or backpacking and
see how they prepare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how they cope with like
adversity.
Walking a long time.
That's true.
Oh, I would
like
suck.
like for example, she would not be. She's not someone you want to be around when she's tired and exhausted. She's just like a horrible to be around.
I mean, I don't think anybody's pleasant when they're tired.
I mean, I'm not unpleasant though. I feel like she was unpleasant, or maybe it's just I'm looking at it through sad goggles or something.
Yeah.
Or,
I don't know. I just feel like nobody is pleasant to be.
Mike, what are some benchmarks that you want to make sure to cross in your step by step game plan?
Can we? I like what Abby said. If something bad happens, you're able to work through it. That's one for sure.
Yeah.
Like get into an argument. Mine would be
That's where I thought you were going initially with your monologue at the beginning. I'm like, oh, let me start an argument to see what's up.
no,
Right?
no, that was not my intentions at all. No, so like that. Plus also seeing if we can like compromise or not compromise, but like having like, resolve, like if she wants to do something or I want to do something, we can both like come together and just agree on something that we both like.
That's true. Yeah.
I feel like that's, a big part because we're always, we still like have our own likes, have our own hobbies, things you want to do.
You're still individuals.
Yeah, we're still individuals. So, if we can develop like times or we can develop like a game plan where we can both like have, equal amounts of fun doing, things we both enjoy with each other, then I think that's I could see myself being like, this is really going to work.
Yeah.
Right.
One thing that I didn't mention that I'll mention now is apart from like, how I mentioned Christmas, as a family, we've kind of incorporated even more and more traditions throughout the year now. I'd want to see her through some of those. So, we take a summer trip usually.
I would not invite them to that.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. So why not?
Depending on how long it's been.
Yeah.
Or I could, if it's been
So,
if it's been a minute and we're
When
official.
does she get to officially?
Well, it would be a
be
he.
part of
Let's
that
start
squad?
there.
Sorry. Yeah.
Well, I mean, if we're
He's like, let's start there. I'm like, okay.
and I mean, if we're boyfriend and girlfriend, I mean, it's because July 4th is usually a family day. So, like, usually everybody's with their family. But if we're like boyfriend and girlfriend and it's been like a couple months, I would probably take them. Maybe that would be the trip where they get to meet my family.
We also have the fall trip, which, I mean, that's more lighthearted and that's more like a 1 day thing.
Yeah, that's true.
But it's like a couple 1 day things. So that's another one. Do we have anything in the winter? I mean, Christmas time, I guess.
Christmas.
That's pretty stacked, actually. So
Yeah, it's usually the heaviest.
stacked. But we don't have anything for the early part of the year. I don't think we have anything.
No. Isn't that usually the days where the first couple months is when everybody's broke? 'Cause
Oh,
of the
that's true.
holidays.
Yeah.
So it's not like a lot of people have much going on other than like New Year's resolutions and
Yeah.
New Year, new me.
And then one I think that's super important for me is I need to be able to work together with her on a project. I need to be able to see that. I'm constantly working on something.
That's a good thing, yeah.
So I need to be able to see what she's like when I'm annoyed at something because either I didn't do it right or Abby didn't post something on time or Michael didn't send me whatever.
Or you didn't upload.
Or I
something
didn't
on time.
upload or something. Like I need to kind of see what that's like.
Yeah. Or,
Or like if she's willing to, like help me out. So if I say, like, can you offload these pictures and call through them, things like that.
yeah. Or I was
I
just
don't know.
thinking, being with someone with their when they're hungry.
Oh, that's true. You're not you and you're hungry.
So
Yeah,
I
give them
guess that's an
Snickers.
important benchmark.
One thing I've noticed is that my mood significantly changes when I eat. I don't know why that's a thing. It's like
Food
it's a
is a
real thing.
drug.
I've experienced
Food
it.
is a drug, man.
Amen to
Hormones
that.
influence our
Praise God for that drug.
moods and how we feel. They say the stomach is the second brain, has the second most sensors
Yeah,
in the body.
that's true.
Also, I was going to say a milestone that I think would be huge is if we can, if I feel her, I don't know, if I notice a change in my spiritual life with her. So like that can be positive or negative.
Yeah.
So if I feel like, man, like I am reading my Bible together, or we're reading
Praying
the Bible together,
together.
praying together, just talking about that right now just makes me feel warm and fuzzy inside.
Yeah.
Like that would be like a huge benchmark for me. Then I would probably start getting the ball rolling. Then I'm like, okay, let's get married tonight.
So that's the benchmark to cross, and after that's
be like let's
marriage.
get married right now.
Yeah.
Call the pastor. We're doing this in the house.
Elopement.
Would you guys elope?
Yes,
I want to know you. No, I'm just messing.
I would.
No.
There's no runaway away.
Like you can go to the courthouse tomorrow, get a marriage license, and get married Friday.
Nah.
Okay.
I think
I want to prepare my family for it too, give them time to, settle into the, whole life changing thing, friends.
What if you guys have been together for a year?
Yeah. You don't want a long
So like they already
engagement.
know.
And let's say you don't want to spend a lot of money, you don't want to get a loan.
No, I mean I want
Or like the timing just lines up.
I mean, if my wife doesn't want a wedding, but I want a wedding because I want my family to be there.
Okay.
I want friends to be there.
By the way, he's already told me I wouldn't be his best man.
That's okay. Who would be your best man? Caleb?
My dad.
His daddy.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. My dad told me he did
nice.
that with his dad. His dad was his best man.
Oh, so you want to continue the tradition?
Yeah, it is. I think symbolically, and more like even not like it doesn't even have to be symbolically. It's just he's the first guy that was in my life, and I trust my dad, even though he annoys me sometimes. But I trust my dad. Like we were talking about stuff today, and my dad, as you get older, I used to be when I was a young kid. I used to be afraid of my dad, like
Wow.
fear. All the kids did.
Yeah.
All the kids
That's
were afraid of my
enough.
dad. But now,
Tall black man.
we're older.
Deep
He's more of a friend now, a guide. I ask him things, how to do things. And, when I'm down, he's there.
So you would be a groomsman?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I think if I ever got married, I wouldn't have like a distinction. I think all my girls would just be best women. Or
Nope.
what do you call them?
It's not going to work.
Bridesmaids.
Maid of honors. Of course it would work. It's my wedding.
They're gonna
I can
be
do
like-
whatever I want.
I'm
true.
the best one, though.
Well, I mean, they can discuss that themselves, but
That's funny.
they each know their position.
That's true. So, what do you think your game plan or like the way that you approach the relationship at this point looks like from your partner's perspective? Because, I've mentioned a lot of technical things, like slowly introduce her into my life. I've mentioned, doing things together, introduce her to the family, doing Christmas together or, boring Sundays, road trips, whatever. I feel like from her perspective, it may look a little super intentional and planned, not a lot of spontaneity, which may or may not be a good thing, but it's kind of how I am, I guess.
I feel like you're
If
very
it's something-
spontaneous, though.
You
just travel on the whim.
Yeah, but that's not-
I don't think
that's
my
not-
brother's
Spontaneity is not
He
really
He
as
doesn't
strong.
stop thinking, Mike.
That's kind of the issue there.
If you don't stop thinking, you're not spontaneous.
It's not really spontaneous.
You've been thinking it. You've been ruminating about this for
For a
like
long
Well,
months.
you think
time.
about it, but then you just decide to hey, let's just do it. I don't know.
But I've already
like you
thought
finally
about
chose
the
a date.
implications.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's already thought about it.
So like by the time I've come to you, I've already worked out your schedule in my head
Yeah.
and my schedule in my head and make sure it works out. So
Yeah.
it's not a
Okay, I get you.
yeah.
It comes off, but like I feel like if you have
So
good,
spontaneity is not really a strong suit of mine.
if you have good planning skills, you can plan spontaneity.
That's what I do. Plan
Plan
spontaneity.
Well, that's
thing.
an interesting way to look at it.
And then another thing I noted was maybe my game plan is a little jam packed. Like if maybe there's like a lot of benchmarks that I like, a lot of things that I want to get to see her in certain situations. So maybe she might feel, I guess, a little not weird, but a type of way about it. I don't know. Like, how do you think your guy would look at? I mean, you really haven't really stated a game plan. You're more of a follower, I guess.
So
Following his game plan, or how does that work?
no, I think for
Like,
him,
assuming that you
I think he would be surprised a little bit because I don't feel like I'm your typical like woman in the sense that I say what I want and how I like feel, and it's feel like if I say this is what I mean. It's not. I want something else. So I feel like that would catch him off guard and maybe put a little bit of pressure in the sense that like he has to know what he's doing and
that is a lot of pressure. It could be.
he has to know what he's doing, and the fact that like that it might be easy in a way to get easy to get me, but it's gonna be hard to maintain
To keep me.
to keep me.
Dang, so does that mean you're high maintenance or
No, it doesn't mean high
Clarify,
maintenance.
doctor.
No, not high maintenance at all. I don't think I'm high maintenance at all. And I don't think, I don't know. Am I high maintenance? Michael, do you think I'm high maintenance?
I don't know.
I plead the fifth. No, I'm not high maintenance. I
feel
think
like-
it's more of just I have standards and I'm gonna stay to them. And if you're not pulling up per se, I'm going to walk away. So,
But I think you'll give him a warning shot, right?
oh yeah, for sure, we'll talk about it because I'm all
Yeah.
about conversation and working
Communication.
things out. If it's not working
Like you're
out,
not gonna
I'm not gonna settle.
pursue an uncertain future.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. Yeah, I won't do that.
Unnecessarily.
So like, I feel like in this day and age, a guy might be caught off of guard with that straightforwardness coming from a woman.
And I mean, to answer your earlier question, I don't think you're high maintenance in the typical sense. Whereas, some girls need you to pay for their nails all the time, or
I don't do
like
my
they
nails.
don't go out unless you do their nails or their hair,
Yeah.
or they can only have a certain type of X, Y, and Z. I don't think you're high maintenance in that sense at all. Well, in any sense, I guess. Just because having standards is not a bad thing at all.
No.
So, Mike, what about you in your game, in your playbook? Do you feel like, what do you think it would look like from her perspective? Like, would she see you like super diligent? Like
no,
what
she would not see me super diligent. I don't know. I don't know. I'm more like, I don't know. I'm just more like laid back, chills. Like, let's just do this. I'm very, reasonable with stuff. We don't have to do what I want to do all the time. Unless it's like something big, then I'd be like, please, let's go. Let's just do this. If like, I don't know, the Packers made the Super Bowl, I'd be like, come on, let's go
to a
let's
party or
let's
something?
watch the game. Let's go to B-dubs. Then I'd be like, okay, well, you don't want to go. I'm still going. Whatever. But yeah, she'd probably just realize that. She'd probably just think I'm just super laid back. Like,
Okay.
I'm not really schedule oriented. Maybe a little unorganized.
Okay, I'm gonna
At times.
pretend I'm that girl.
This is Stephanie. Michael,
I
Stephanie.
would probably feel like you're not putting a lot of effort, so I might question if you're into me.
But maybe she's also laid back too. You're
Well-
not laid
Yeah,
back.
exactly. Yeah.
Well, I could see that because, like, I feel like I have done that with girls, but that's just like unintentional.
Done
though.
what?
Like shown
This-
interest, but I'm actually not interested.
That is fine.
Well, no, a lot of it is just I'm just a nice guy. I like to crack jokes. Like I like to tease girls.
That's normal.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. It's just funny. I mean, I like to tease anybody, honestly, but like specifically girls because it's just funny to
Yeah.
me, funnier. And so doing that's obviously a sign of like attraction. But I kind of don't like go anywhere with it. So girls is probably thinking like, wow, he's really into me. And then like, I
Don't
don't
do
try to
anything.
text to them. I don't try to like go out.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like there's something off there.
Perceptions are
if I
good,
like,
man.
like I know I like the girl, then I will be like, come on, let's do this. Let's go out. Let's
But
go
you
to the
haven't
Bucks
really done
game.
that with anyone that we know of. Like you like your current.
Yeah.
So I guess he's
Roster
never really
is
liked,
not really-
liked someone so much.
I've gone out. I've asked to go out and gone out with girls, but
Yeah, you have.
I know the one girl we were talking about. I started to like, but then I was like, no. I've told you about that, but I haven't like tried to like go out with her. Still, it's just like
Yeah.
You just decided it
I
wasn't.
just thought I didn't want to hurt her, so I'm just like, but if she's
How
if they're-
nice of you.
But it's like if they're
You don't want to hurt her. You don't want to hurt yourself.
No,
well,
you
yeah,
don't want to hurt.
But I'm
her.
not gonna be like some people.
Hey, some
Come
man. You
over
guys,
and cook food for me. A wink. You're gonna have to delete that from the podcast. Anyway, what was I gonna
you
say?
can't speak English.
I was gonna say, but if I see them like in a casual setting, like at church or like a group event, then I might like go by them and try to hit it off with them, and they might like think that I'm a player because I've given them all this attention when I'm around, but like I don't follow up outside of that.
No follow through.
So, to guys out there who are building their game plans, what are some tips that we can give them? And Doc, I specifically want to talk and get your perspective on, like, what if women want to be the pursuers? What are some tips for them that they can pursue and things like that? So, I think the first and biggest step is something that we all need to do, and that hopefully we've done, is knowing where we're at in life. Knowing what you want and how fast you want those things. Because if you don't know who you are to the core, you don't know what you really have to offer to somebody else.
That's true. And you could also be misleading them. Because if you don't know where you're going to be in a year from now, and
You can be all talk.
yeah, and that just ends in heartbreak.
That's true. I heard a sermon this morning that was on manhood, biblical manhood. And the pastor specifically was saying, like, guys, you say in your homes that, you won't, like, my wife won't follow me. But he's like, you realize you can't follow a parked car, right?
That's so true.
Pause, bro. I think a lot of guys are stagnant and don't have an actual direction or a plan or a vision that they can portray or give to their potential beloved. And because they don't do that, you can't expect a girl to be, jumping on your plan if you don't really actually have one.
Because there's no plan to jump on.
There's no plan to jump on. And also, if you are moving, and I guess another point, if you're moving, that doesn't necessarily mean you have a direction. Because let's use the boat example. Just if you're a boat gets moved around by the wind and by the waves and by the current and things like that. But a boat without a rudder is a liability. They're a danger to all the other boats out there. They're in danger of being run aground. Because if you don't know how to control yourself, if you don't know, where to point your rudder or where to point your sails, you're going to be, lost out there and putting your potential girl at risk. What are some other things that you guys think that people should consider, guys specifically, or girls who pursue, should consider when building a game plan or their playbook?
I think something you should consider is just like, what your, I guess, end goal is, like, what do you want from this? Like if you look at like when you make a plan, like, and this is kind of military, like you kind of have like a main objective.
Yeah.
And then like, in anything, like, before you start something, you have like,
Begin with
goal?
the end in mind. Remember Stephen Covey?
Yeah. You have like a goal or something. And it's like everything you plan is centered around that goal. So if you're like married, then, or if your marriage is the goal, then you want to game plan with things that revolve around preparing to potentially marry someone. So asking questions about that, getting to know them, in areas like that, like what do they, want to do in 5 years? Like, what do they, like to do, when they're not at work, stuff like that. So you can kind of gauge. But outside of that, I think there should always be a part of your game plan where you just try to like be their friend. No, obviously that's different compared to just like a casual friend to like someone you have a romantic interest. But, just like, if you have a good friend, what do you want to do? You want to hang out? You want to talk?
Yeah.
And it kind of just relieves the pressure. At least that's how I like, see it.
Envision it, yeah.
Yeah. Because especially if a lot of guys aren't that type of guy where they feel confident enough to just go and ask a girl out on a date right away, like, I think that's okay. And I think that would like also weed out any girls who maybe just want something quick or fast. If you're more patient, calm, and, more traditional, like, don't want to do anything super crazy or super risque, then, it's a good way to weed those girls out.
I think it's something you should consider when building your game plan, whether you're a woman or a man, I think is your evaluation process and just how you're reflecting on everything that you're doing. Because like you stated, you know where you are in life, what you currently offer. And then Michael, you have your objective. So like any plan, you have to have a review, you have to have evaluation, kind of just to check to see what's working, what's not working. Is this getting where I want it to be? Is there things that I can do better? I think that constant review process can only make your playbook or whatever better.
Stronger. And that's true because let's say you do get the girl of your dreams or something like that. Let's say the girl from the beginning of the episode, if I would have, been able to do something with her back then, I feel like I would have fumbled it because my playbook wasn't as strong. And I mean, one of the aspects that I feel I could have worked on better is like, well, I mean, there's just a saying where it's just like, even if you get her, right, you can't expect her to follow you if after she gets to know you, she realizes you're just pretending to know where you're going. And you just say all these things, but you don't actually mean them. And then that requires a lot of foresight from us men to be able to, like when we say, this is where I want to be, you have to actually plan things ahead of time. You have to like almost live part of your life in the future. So that I guess you can, or at least that's how I think about it. So you can prepare for, things that may happen to both or either of you, something like that. I don't know. Thoughts?
I mean, I think that women, have to do that too.
Okay.
It just goes both ways about like not just being all talk, but walking the walk. Actions speak louder than words. So it's not just a man thing, although statistically speaking, the pressure is more on men to have it figured out than a woman.
Yeah. Now,
especially to certain things. Go ahead.
True. Now, the Bible doesn't really talk about dating as we know it today. So, back then, because back then what would happen was, you go to somebody, to another family and be like, hey, can my daughter marry your son? Or the other way around, actually. Can my son marry your daughter? Dowry would be involved. Both families would have to agree. Then you have a big feast. Then you get married. I guess we still have arranged marriages today, but they're not as common, specifically in our Adventist church. Now, I still think there are some things we can emulate. Like, for example, we can involve our parents in this. I don't feel like they should be completely excommunicated from our decision making.
Here in Proverbs 15:22, it says, without counsel, plans fail.
Right.
But with many advisors, they succeed.
Yes. In the counsel of many, there's safety. Yeah, that's true. And then something that was interesting that I found in how Ellen White spoke about dowries, which is the price that you would, I guess, give the family for her hand in marriage, which, sounds like payment, but not really, because the dowry would then go to the woman.
Yeah.
So then it'd be like her money, I guess. But she says that the dowry then was a test against solubility, which means like, can you say you can provide for her, prove it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you can, do away with X amount of money, that proves that, or I guess it's a clear, nice flag that when you say you have enough money to support her, you actually mean it.
Would it be kind of like a down payment in a way where like you prove to the bank you have
the funds,
and then if you don't have the funds, you have PMI insurance.
Yeah, that's funny.
So
private mortgage insurance for those who don't know. Yeah, and then also God was involved much more heavily back then. So
yeah, I was gonna say that. And I want to bring up a verse. It's in Colossians 3:23 and 24. Having God a part of it. It says, whatever you do, work at it with all your heart as working for the Lord, not for human masters, since you know that you will receive an inheritance from the Lord as a reward. It is the Lord Christ you are serving. And I kind of view this verse, Colossians 3:23 and 24, as, when you serve God, good things come out of it, and I feel like from the examples we've had on this podcast and the examples that we get on the Bible, a lot of times when people decide to serve God, put God first, there seems to be someone who also shows up there as well that God brings them to, and then when you bring or with that person, because you're both serving God, I feel like it, whether you're on a mission trip or whether you're in the church, I feel like it just kind of eases a lot of the other pressures around, what are we going to talk about? Questions I'm going to ask, because everything is centered around working for God.
I think a specific playbook in the Bible that we can emulate. In the Bible, we can learn from all the different plans that took place. Like, for example, like when Joshua, he was leading the people, there's a plan for Jericho, right? And there was execution, but at the same time, he had to be flexible when something else showed up. So we can learn flexibility from that. And then also Nehemiah, when he had to build the walls of Jerusalem, right? So he made a plan of what is it that we need? What are the people that we need? And he prayed about it too. So those are foundations to making plans, not necessarily to dating, but it shows, for example, in the Joshua or Moses, for example, when they made a plan without God's approval, it didn't go according to the best of God's plan. And sadly, it was a detour. So I think it shows us that when it comes to making plans, we gotta take God into consideration, or at least it's recommended, and we should for our own good. Take him into consideration, so that whatever it is that we plan to do, he's there every step.
And that is the right decision, because he will make sure it's the right. He knows us better than we know ourselves.
It's true.
And, we think that things that we want are going to give us happiness, but God's like, no.
Sometimes when we want what God wants for us, it'll bring us happiness. So we can't just put it all away, but I know what you mean.
Well, yeah. I mean, I feel like a lot of times we just kind of don't, I don't know, we don't take into account other things, and God takes into account everything. So the answer will always be right. The plan will always be the right plan if you involve God in it. And the girl will always be the right girl if you allow God to lead you in your life.
Yep.
That's true. And then last thing I'll mention here is that when you're building out your game plan, be certain about who you are, so you can write the right plays. For example, if you do not have a good running back, you will not run a ton of running plays. There's a difference between for example, the San Francisco 49ers, who have Christian McCaffrey, not arguably, the best running back in the game right now. They can run a run heavy offense because they have the tools for that to happen. You have the linemen to block for him, et cetera, et cetera. Whereas if you're a team that doesn't have Christian McCaffrey or an Isaiah Pacheco or what have you, you don't run those plays. And what I mean by that specifically is be honest about who you are and take off your mask. When you're dating, we often want to put our best faces out there and run our best plays, but you have to be able to, be honest with who you are, because your future girl's counting on it. And if you're honest about who you are and also about what you need, you can be able to, quit something sooner than you otherwise would have. So if you know that you need a lot of physical touch, but this girl is not really a touchy type of gal, walk away, bro. In the sense that if you don't feel like your needs and her willingness to supply those needs, and vice versa, if they're not going to link up, be able to, I guess, know that, if that makes sense. So knowing what you do best, run those plays, and again, be honest about it so that you don't get embarrassed like some teams do.
And it takes time to take off the mask, because like I've said before, a mask is used as protection. So with time, it's not like you have to do it right away, but with time, usually it should be getting easier and easier to let it go.
Yeah.
The safer you feel.
That's true. Any hiccups you think we might encounter out there?
Any hiccups with life?
With the game plan, with the playbook?
Yeah. I think there's always going to be roadblocks and just speed bumps along the way.
Yeah.
That's why we need to be flexible and being willing to pivot and change depending on the situations. Because I feel if we are very rigid, then we're not really going to go anywhere.
That's true.
Yeah.
Mike?
Definitely hiccups. just people. And I think a lot of times it's, just human nature. People change that we didn't expect to change, or, we thought someone was a certain way and they aren't.
Yeah.
We, may, I don't know, also change, or, life happens, accidents happen, stuff like that. So there's always going to be hiccups because this is life. And it could be a billion hiccups,
It's true.
It's just like, how are you going to respond to those things? How are you going to work through those things?
Yeah.
I think a lot of it just goes back to, having God at the foundation of everything.
Yes.
So when those things happen, you don't go into depression, or you don't lose a lot of self-confidence. Like if the girl that you were into all of a sudden, which is totally fine, finds another guy that she likes, or an ex-boyfriend comes back into her life and she's gone, and you're just like, what? God, I thought this was the person, how do you recover from that? That happens all the time.
Or a guy.
Yeah. I mean, for girls too, it just happens to a lot of people. So, it's just, I think, important to also to remain content in life. The Bible tells us, being, temperate in our lives, not too high, not too low, just kind of like, I'm happy.
The more you walk by
with
faith,
where
the
I'm
better.
at.
Yeah.
I'm happy with what I have, and at the very least, you always know you have God. And that shouldn't be say at the very least, but when everything else is gone, like you lose everything in your life, you always know you have God. So
That's true.
Your baseline should always be like, well, I'm still good. So
I think another hiccup is that you have to have mercy with the other person too. Be kind in the sense that even though you may have done the work, she may not have. And if that does happen, you have to be able to either guide them through the process. You have to be able to help them out in them getting to know themselves, and knowing what they want and whatnot. Because, if you feel like there is chemistry and you feel like God is leading, you can work through those things out too. You know what I'm saying? So, maybe your partner's not like realizes, oh, they're not in a place to date right now, but then, but they do still feel a connection, knowing how to be able to sidestep that or how to deal with it. Because it's not a rejection. It's just a not at this time.
Yeah.
You have to be able to know how to handle that, and know that it's not the end of the world, and know that, that's another individual, with wishes, and that has to go through their own journey. So
Yeah. And I also think that there's going to be hiccups in anyone's plan,
Yes.
from a personal level, right? Because let's say you have a plan right now, but are you actively using it? So if you're not
Have you strayed from the-
if you're not actively using it, you're not field testing it. You're not seeing what works, what doesn't work. We're all humans, and a pickup line might not work, with someone. You have to test it a couple times, kind of like comedians. They have to test out
Their material,
joke,
yeah.
the way to say it, or maybe their pauses.
Yes.
So in the plan itself, there's going to be hiccups, but as you practice and you're actively putting yourself out there, or in any opportunity that you have, it's more of just like reviewing, kind of like what I said before, and just acknowledging it. And it's also important to remember that a response or an imperfect action or response is better than none at all. So like, the pickup line didn't come out perfectly, or maybe you said something too soon.
it's not a reflection of who you are.
Yeah, and
Don't
like
beat yourself up.
it's like, at least you tried. It's an imperfect action. It's better than not saying anything at all and leaving it to a what if.
Right.
I was going to say, I'm trying to find this verse here. It says in Proverbs 19, verse 21, it says, many are plans in a person's heart, but it is the Lord's purpose that prevails. The Lord's purpose. So we have our plans. And I think that's, God is so merciful, because he says it's his purpose that will prevail in the end. And, God's purpose is always correct, and that's pretty much God saying, like, you're going to make mistakes.
Yeah.
Like your plans.
Right.
Like, I mean, just by nature, we don't know everything. We can't see the heart. We can't see the thoughts of people. We can't see things that are going to happen in the future. Right. Like somebody, that you liked may end up, getting like a
Leaving
disease
you on red
or just things that we can't even have control of, just like, getting in a car accident, stuff happens, but God's purpose, still remains. Like, God could still guide you, to that person, even if it's the same person that, you initially thought was good and then things went wrong, God can still work through those things.
That's true.
And so it just makes life so much easier. I don't say easier, but just
Bearable.
Bearable is a good word. Because, like, if, with all the things that have happened in my life, if, there was no God to be there that I can count on and realize that everything is going to be okay in the end, like, my mental would be so much worse.
Same.
I don't know how atheists do it. I really don't. That's why I don't really believe they're atheists. But that's another debate. But it's just like it's so much reassuring, so much more reassuring.
Yeah, I think we should also, again, just like bringing God into this, we should realize that even though we have our own game plan, He's the master game plan maker. He's won, for lack of a better term, all the Super Bowls.
Like Vince Lombardi.
Yeah.
Vince Lombardi.
He's the coach. We're the players.
He's undefeated.
He's the coach. He's the
We're
GM. He's the president.
As the guys,
the owner.
we're like the assistant coaches, right? You gotta trust your head coach.
Yeah.
And even though we may have good plays as offensive coordinators or what have you, trust the big head coach because he knows what he's doing.
I just think about how how like the quarterbacks have
A speaker.
a speaker in their helmet.
Yes.
I think that's like we're quarterbacks. We're like
On the
leaders,
field, yeah.
and God is the coach in our
ears.
ear. So it's like learning how to listen and trusting and running with the play and not being rebellious.
It's true. And the thing is, if we call our dream girl or our dream person the Super Bowl, even if you get there, you still have to run the plays. You still got to go through the motions. You still have to do what you got to do. Meaning that even if, let's say, the pretty girl gives you a chance, you have to know what you're going to do with it. So you're not just like the Joker running after a car and not knowing what to do with it once you've caught it. So go out there, have a game plan.
Something.
Yeah, do
instead
something.
of nothing at all.
Right, because the other team may fumble, there could be a lapse in the defense.
Or at least admit you don't have a plan. And it's
interesting.
But
Okay.
I'm going to make one because I like you, So I think also let's not get hung up on like we have to have the perfect game plan for guys. I think more than women, but rather it's more of just being authentic with yourself.
Yes.
You like someone, let them know.
Right. Don't just sit
shoot
there.
your shot. If it doesn't work out, it didn't work out, but you have no regrets, no resentment, no bitterness is going to build up, no what ifs.
Yes. You know what Wayne Gretzky said? You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Isn't that from the Sun?
But what if you keep missing every shot?
you keep trying.
I think it's depressing. I'll be like, maybe this isn't my sport.
Well, then maybe
I need to switch sides.
Stop
No, I'm just
hitting
kidding.
the puck with a broom and switch to a hockey stick,
Yeah.
What if you're using a hockey
Change your
stick?
tools.
Well, I mean, it was...
Use a gun. Shoot.
Was it Thomas,
Shoot them.
it was Thomas Edison that learned when he was asked about when he made electricity, he's like, I learned 100 ways not to do it.
Right.
So it's all about reframing our thoughts, reframing our failure. Because a lot of the times we internalize it and we make it about ourselves.
Or maybe you're just after the wrong product.
Or
This type
maybe.
of girls
Yeah,
just
that's true too.
true.
ain't biting.
Because like a Christian playbook wouldn't necessarily wouldn't work as well on a worldly woman.
Oh, of course.
Right.
Yeah.
Not all of the components, no.
No, not all of the components.
Yeah.
Good discussion, guys. How about we close it out with a word of prayer?
Okay. Dear Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for our blessings. Thank you for allowing us to just have this discussion. Thank you for the things that were said. Be with the people who will, tune in and listen. Hopefully, they can take something positive from, the discussions that we've had. We're not experts on here, dear Lord, but, we're going to claim that you are the expert and, that we're just, here, looking at the book that you left us to, gain more knowledge, gain more experience, and gain that ultimate game plan when it comes to every decision in our life, even the ones that involve relationships and, intimacy. So just be with everyone out there, and Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.